Pretty good, isn't it?
I like it.
I know, man. No complaints.
Yeah. I like how it's mentioned in the glass, too. Welcome back. Episode 3 of 2026.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right. This is the ice apocalypse episode.
That's coming. We're trying to get this recorded before it happens.
Yeah,
but-
that's right.
yeah.
So, folks, seriously, stay safe out there. A lot of times we talk about, roads and bridges, and the DOT and all that kind of stuff. Just stay off them, right?
Yeah.
Next day or two, hopefully you've gone to the grocery store by now and got you some bread, milk, and what else you need? Eggs.
I mean, I don't care if you're 6'7", sounds like Bigfoot farting in a trash can. You still cannot control it on ice. So stay off the roads.
All right. So thanks again to Comer Distributing, who actually I saw last night, ran into at dinner. We had a great dinner, Bear Walrus, and Chip and Judy were at the next table. So thanks, Chip, for providing this week's cerveza.
Modelo.
Yep.
I mean, can you go wrong with a Modelo?
Yep, but this is the Negra. This is the darker. So it is not the Especial. Figured cold weather. If you're going to drink a Modelo, taste this one. So
thank you very much for sponsoring, continuing to be sponsored.
Mhm.
Season 3, episode 3.
wow.
Never
yeah.
thought we would go this far.
I know,
Just
that's right.
trying to replace a newsletter.
I know, right? And man, it was a busy week. We had a lot of stuff going on. I literally had my first day back this past week on Tuesday. I literally was in subcommittee pretty much all day, except for when we had to run to the floor, hit the yes that were in attendance.
I couldn't find you. I thought for sure you were in the Senate. No, you were just
No, man.
constantly meeting.
I even missed our caucus lunch
Yep.
on Tuesday because we had to. I recessed the subcommittee after we broke at noon to reconvene an hour after adjournment, and there was a lot of organizational stuff that needed to be done. What threw us a curveball was the chief legal staff for the committee.
Yeah.
Trey was out with
Hey, Trey, shave your mustache, please.
with the flu, which it was all through his house, his kids, his wife, everybody
Yeah.
got sick. So, but hey, man, we adapted, we rolled with it, and had a good old time in the 3M Medical Subcommittee. So let's kick it off with some of that stuff. But before we do, we did forget last week to mention just a
Yeah.
small little thing happened. You're racking up the trophy cases. I'm feeling like I'm standing in the shadow here a lot because you have received several awards.
I think
Even though
the
the local,
PBM lobby's against you. They're keeping you from getting awards.
even though our local York County GOP does not want to support that you were the Republican legislator of the year
Yes.
during the, but also you did receive another award, which I think, I don't want to speak to your own personal, but this one probably means something with the AG's office and that.
Yeah, I
recognizing
mean,
you as the advocate.
Advocate of the Year for the Human Trafficking Task Force.
Yeah.
And, the AG's office put on the first North-South Carolina Human Trafficking Conference. I was able to speak there along with many other advocates. This is one of those where I'm extremely grateful for, but I'm not one of the people that is in the fight every day. I'm not the professionals that are having to look at this stuff and track down these people. As I said during the press conference, God blessed me with a big mouth, and I'll run it till the day I die.
Wait a minute,
But-
you were at another press conference?
Yeah, there was a press conference, and that was the day before session, and I completely forgot to mention it last week.
Yeah. No, but seriously,
But
congratulations.
extremely grateful for that.
But I do think, you talk about there is a lot of folks that do the work, that get in the trenches, that produce results, right? But they also need an advocate. They need a spokesperson,
Yeah.
right? And so I think grateful for you for using your platform, not only as a legislator, but also as a parent advocate for a very important issue.
Yeah,
of
and
human
I've
trafficking.
tried to avoid the human trafficking concept because, I'm fighting against tech crimes, and I'm like, well, this doesn't really coincide. They're all linked.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
Yep.
But, it's not where you want to be. It's where God wants you to be. All right, speaking of the Human Trafficking Advocate Award, Congressman Russell Fry, which happens to be Callahan's favorite congressman. I took one challenge coin and bringing him on the floor, and now he always wants to hear about Mr. Russell.
There you go.
But he passed, or he actually had it signed into law, the Trafficking Survivors Relief Act, which was 4323. But it was bipartisan, signed into law officially, that allows human trafficking victims to expunge or vacate certain criminal conditions so long as they were nonviolent crimes committed under duress. So that's a huge win. Thank you, Congressman Fry, for your advocacy as well.
Yeah, I tell you, man, this human trafficking thing seems to be going to be an ongoing issue. Like we talked about NIL in the last episode. This just anything dealing with this tech and innovation, and how technology can be used to commit crimes. This seems like it's going to be just a emerging, growing issue.
We're seeing kind of like a rise of slavery coming back through the labor force trafficking as well.
Yeah.
And that's something people don't talk about.
Yep. So thank you, Congressman Russell Fry. And the key word there was bipartisan. So appreciate him being able to identify an issue that is a human issue, not a Republican or a Democrat issue, but something that just betters our country as a whole. So,
and especially from the public safety standpoint.
Yeah. Speaking of, where God put me on Tuesday was in front of a full room of folks who wanted to talk about mainly the parental rights bill.
I seen a lot of blue hair outside. Were they in there?
Hey, you know what?
Purple. Sorry, blue's old, purple's young.
Yeah, that's right. No, I had sign-up sheets for and against each bill. The first bill, which probably got overshadowed a little bit, didn't really get any traction or news, which is fine, is the banning of medical non-competes. This is something that physicians have been asking for. It was in the original CON, which is the repeal of Certificate of Need, back when we were freshmen legislators, but it got pulled out last minute as part of a compromise. And so ever since then, I've been trying to get a standalone bill. And so we heard that, heard from physicians, primarily from the audience or those folks giving testimony. It was, I'd say, 75% in favor. So we passed that. And then the big one was the parental rights bill.
Yes.
And again, this isn't something that I don't think is that controversial.
It should not be controversial.
This is the things that parents should hear. We have this idea that if someone is dealing with a mental health issue, and one that's been popular as of late was the gender transitioning, right? And you have school administrators, educators, maybe even the guidance counselor who is trying to take care of and provide support to this student, and they're not telling the parent.
Right.
And again, as I talked to the folks who even came and spoke against us passing a parental rights bill, I said, look, these are sensitive topics to discuss, but at what point do you feel it's right to include a teacher, right? Because I was trying to understand their position, where they were coming from, and I just wasn't satisfied. I just, at all these things, whether it's sexual activity of a 15 or 16-year-old boy or girl, whether it's a mental health crisis that a child is talking about committing suicide, or whether it's someone who is dealing with gender confusion. At no point do I think that parents shouldn't be included.
Correct.
Because you oftentimes hear, well, if my parent knows or my dad finds out that I'm a 15-year-old boy and that I'm gay, he's going to lose his stuff, right? He's going to maybe hit me, get violent. Well,
and then he should be arrested if that's ever the
correct.
case.
But my point is, guys, if a student or someone who is talking, say, to a physician, a doctor, about whatever the issue they're dealing with, the doctor and the teacher or the school administrator can choose the right environment to bring in the parent and that student or that young person and offer sort of some mediation, some support, bring in medical professional, you know what I mean? To try to help solve the problem.
As a parent, are you going to do you really give a shit what a doctor has to say?
Well,
Or anyone? I mean,
see,
let's
it
be
depends
honest.
on the circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of, at the end of the day, it's my children. I'm the one that's responsible for them. I'm the one that should be involved in the
100%.
conversation. And I'll be damned if I want any additional adult giving advice to my child
Yeah.
without me involved.
Well, and let me back up a second. So you asked that question, and I said it depends. It depends, right? So if you have a 16-year-old daughter who is pregnant, having a doctor to say, hey, she is this far along, da da da, yeah, that helps me guide my decision, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, I heard it over and over from folks giving testimony that, hey, you sound like you're a good dad or a good parent, but not all parents are like you. And I said, I get that. And I appreciate the compliment. But again, I would say it's vitally important that parents are always included in these types of sensitive conversations. And I just don't think that was getting across to them. They just
Right.
fundamentally disagreed with me.
And I think so many have those experiences, and I've said it many times. You know, whether it be a teacher or an attorney or anything else, they have these make or break moments. That one time that you see you couldn't help and you wish you could intervene,
Right.
but you can't change the system for everyone because of that. Because what that ends up doing is having more problems with additional.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, we I had, like I said, we ran up against the clock at noon on Tuesday, then had to catch back up in the afternoon. But I was committed to hearing all four of these bills, the parental rights being a very important one, and so we heard testimony, got to a vote and passed it out. I think it was like 4-1. So
Well, we also had in judiciary and Travis Moore's committee.
yeah,
We had the
Same
Student
day.
Physical
That's
Privacy Act,
yep,
which we've discussed this. I remember whenever we had the debate on the floor last year, the things that I'm a little concerned about, and I want to meet with my school districts to discuss, is going after teachers. For people trying to hold teachers civilly liable. I don't believe that you should be able to sue a police officer directly. I think that should go to a police department.
Yep.
And I also don't think you should be able to sue a teacher directly.
Unless there's some gross negligence, some knowingly.
And that's a high bar to set.
Correct.
And if it's gross negligence, I completely understand.
Yeah, you know what
I'm
I
for
mean?
anyone being sued
Yep.
under gross negligence.
And these sort of things came up in the parental rights discussions as well. That private cause of action.
Yes.
And so the way in the parental rights bill, we gave the local school district, city, whatever it was, who may have been potentially sued, like where the claim is being brought to. Let's just say a parent wants to get some data or files on their kid. The school district will not cooperate with the parent. The parent can then go to law enforcement, go to the AG to get some relief, right? And then if all of those types of legal actions are exhausted, then if the parent still has a claim, they can bring a private cause of action.
Well, here becomes the only problem I see with that. We know how long a process takes to get things done.
Yeah,
Your child's living in that moment.
100%.
If it takes 2 years, that's a major difference in the window of development. So we've got to speed that up. I completely understand. I just don't want lawsuits against teachers consistently.
Yeah.
That becomes the fear.
And we've talked about this a lot on this show. The parental rights legislation, also the Protecting Girls' Spaces legislation that was heard in judiciary and that got passed out. That will be on the House floor next week. I believe it's coming up on Wednesday. These are two common sense issues that you and I are in full support of. And here's a little footnote to that legislation that was heard in judiciary, the Protecting the Girls' Spaces. Literally, I had communications from members of the judiciary, Representative Travis Moore out of Spartanburg, our very own York County David Martin up in Fort Mill. He texted me and he said, hey, we've got folks on the judiciary saying that this didn't happen.
Right.
And I'm literally trying to run my sub getting these text messages. And so I said, it did happen. It happened here in Rock Hill. And David, typical attorney, do I have your permission to use your name?
Yes.
And I said, yeah, go ahead, man. And so, and again, unfortunately, folks, this situation happened at Rock Hill High School. And I overheard my daughter and her friends talking at a dinner table about how they monitored their water intake so they didn't have to go to the bathroom in a certain building of the high school.
And this should just be common sense.
Yeah, and this wasn't anything. I don't feel my daughter felt threatened or had any reason to think that
But she
she
didn't
wasn't
feel safe.
well, and I don't even know if she felt safe. I just think it was
If she felt safe, she wouldn't monitor her water intake to go to the bathroom. Let's
maybe
be honest.
But I'm saying it's somewhere between comfortable and safe, right?
Yeah.
But and that's my point. Our daughters shouldn't have to deal with that,
Yeah.
right? The school is a place
I mean,
to get educated. It should be safe and generally should be comfortable and free of intimidation or threat.
I mean,
And God Almighty, it's just not that difficult. And I applaud Representative David Martin because he went off.
he went viral with this little clip.
Sort of made
Yeah.
me proud that I'm glad he stood up. It's good to see him finding his voice. He found his voice one more time early
Yeah.
in his freshman term on the education bill.
It's good to see his voice on our side of an
Yeah,
issue. We'll say that.
yeah, that's right. So,
But look, honestly, like I said, it should be common sense. No one should be in fear or uncomfortable to have to go to the bathroom unless you had
Right.
Taco Bell, maybe. But other than that, you should be okay. I think we can knock Taco Bell off our sponsor list.
Right. So yeah, I mean, folks, from just the personal experience that I had with my daughter regarding the girls' bathroom issue. Look, is it rampant across our state?
No.
I'm not suggesting that, but does it and can it happen in your school? 100%.
And look, we don't need to spend all day on this, but let's just take common sense. Should someone that is struggling with their identity feel unsafe to go to the bathroom? The answer is no.
Yep.
Which is why we put in things like you should be able to go to a teacher's restroom. You should have a unisex
Nurse, yeah.
restroom, and it shouldn't be an issue. At the same time, we put those rules in place to make sure that person feels safe. But if that person wants to be a troll and cause other people to feel uncomfortable, then we have to put rules in place to say, hey, this can't happen.
Yeah.
And it's a small minority that causes the problem to begin with. And it's not a problem, or that
The
it's a
issue.
small minority that causes us to have to find a solution.
Yeah.
But ultimately, our goal is to protect those in the minority.
Well, and lastly, let's just put a button on this. Both the parental rights legislation as well as the protecting girls' spaces legislation, I echo our colleague, Representative Tommy Pope. A couple years ago, I was saying this wasn't needed. But in today's age and what we have seen, not just here in South Carolina, but across the country, I'm reaffirmed that we need it. And so that's why in South Carolina, we're going to pass both the parental rights bill and also protecting girls in bathrooms and
Right.
locker rooms. So,
Hard facts with a little bite. No ivory tower, no polish, man. Just crap glass talk in a worn down pen. Raise it slow, let the real one speak. Pints and politics every damn week. Don't make sense, we say it twice. No core release, no party line. Just working class eyes, reading between the signs. If power hates daylight.
this AI music, man.
Politics till the bullshit's gone.
Pints and politics till the bullshit's gone. Love it.
Hey, in this segment, we want to talk about just sort of personal passions or personal issues. I should say personal issues. Just things that we want to advocate for, right?
This is going to be a 2-hour segment just for Guffey.
No. Yeah, right. Speaking of personal issues. No, but you have fallen into a lane of online safety, especially online safety for children. Me being on 3M in the medical committee when I first got elected, and now I'm the subcommittee chair Obviously, healthcare has been front
Big
and
issue.
forward. Yeah, for me, and I tell you, it's been complicated. It's been a journey trying to understand healthcare, and a lot of times, folks, when they get into politics, they want to demonize one side or the other, and I think a lot of times, when I've talked about PBM reform, where I think there's obvious sort of concerns of the vertical integration that's been going on and healthcare consolidation. Those are issues, right?
Right.
They lessen competition, prices rise, and you and I can't afford, the premiums on our health plans. And so, while
Or they only want to give you 90 pills for an entire year.
yeah, right, and so, folks, everyone knows the two listeners out there know that I've offered up PBM legislation this year. It's about 5 or 6 bills, and again, not to get too far in the weeds, but those bills mainly concern sort of anti-competitive business practices, unfair business practices, bringing transparency to the 8 stages of the middlemen, folks who get in between you and I and or patients in healthcare. And I did want to play a clip, and I hope this doesn't get flagged by YouTube or whatever. But
It's from your personal friend, though. You're all right.
that's right. This is, as Guffey says, my personal friend, AOC, up in DC.
The health insurance gets a cut, the pharmacy benefit manager gets a cut, the drug manufacturer gets a cut, and the patient gets screwed.
Sounds like the mob.
And folks, when AOC gets it, come on, it can't be that hard. And so just the other day, DC, the House called up the big insurance companies before the committee, and man,
Those ones that Obama put in power with
yes,
Obamacare.
and long story short to this part of my rant is, if AOC can understand the concept that you can't have, and I'm talking about CVS Health, when you have one company that is CVS Health that literally owns the drug manufacturer, it owns the physician's office, it owns the health plan, it owns the retail pharmacy, that vertical integration creates a non-competitive environment, or as what Guffey and I would call a monopoly.
Yep.
Okay? And I don't know how the FTC allowed that to happen, but that really needs to get revisited by our friends in DC. And like I said, we actually traveled to DC as the PBM ad hoc committee. I took a few members with me. We sat down with our own Senator Graham, talked to Congress Lady Nancy Mace, went and met with Ralph Norman and others, and Russell Fry, and they were all in agreement with us that this is going to have to change. And what we got to make sure of is, when we're reforming these PBMs, that if we're eliminating rebates, we're bringing pricing transparency, you don't allow the fees to increase, because that's what they're going to do. These health plans and these PBMs are going to turn around and start charging network fees, administrative fees, facility fees, or whatever else they can come up with to still take more money from you and put in their pocket.
Well, and here's what nobody's wanting to say. You cannot have someone that's in insurance making medical decisions.
Yes.
Stating you can't get this medicine because we know better than the physician
Yeah,
that we contract with
I know.
said that we needed.
And here's another thing. I'm the primary sponsor on the prior authorization bill. Senator Michael Johnson has a companion bill. He is the primary sponsor over on his side in the South Carolina Senate. Prior authorization is just a tool, folks, to delay health care. Because what the dirty little secret that no one's going to tell you is insurance companies make money on the float. And it's not just property and casualty. It's not just your commercial lines. It's also in healthcare. So all of us Joe citizens pay $1,000 a month for a family plan. When they deny the service to us for 30, 60, 90 days even, they make money on your money. Okay? And that's the dirty little secret about the insurance companies.
The PayPal model.
That's right. And again, that's fine when it comes to a short-term rental that you're going to be renting in 6 months from now. Okay.
What if the funds have to go in escrow?
For the deposit.
Yeah.
Right? No. But not in healthcare, right? You cannot do it in healthcare. And you cannot use these utilization tools or utilization management tools, what they call them. You can't use prior authorization to delay healthcare so you can make more money, because when you delay healthcare, it's affecting quality of life and, more unfortunately, maybe even someone's life, right? And so that's why you gotta take these reforms seriously. I'm happy that DC seems to be jumping on board and following the leadership of the Palmetto State, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Tennessee, and some other states around the country, that they've taken upon ourselves to go and take a serious look at healthcare, health plans, physicians, hospitals, and also PBMs, and looking at how they operate and seeing that, hey, we've got to change that, because we cannot deny healthcare to patients, and we got to put patients first.
Hey, and guys, don't let the term PBM bore you to death. It took me 6 months to really understand what he was talking about, but it is very important once you start understanding and you start connecting the dots, and you realize, as we're talking about cost rising and affordability with everything that we do, why it is important.
Yeah. So I will now step off the soapbox and allow.
Well, I mean, I'm always fighting to protect our kids online. Matter of fact, the first week of February, I'll be going to D.C. to participate in a press conference there for the
another press conference.
Yeah, to participate in the Sunset Section 230. Which those of you, we don't have enough time to go into 230.
Are they actually thinking about sunsetting it?
Well, Lindsey Graham has a bill to sunset Section 230, and it's a bipartisan bill. So this will help us if we get that sunset to where they have to come back with a solution. So I plan on participating in that press conference, which will be good. But in the meantime, we started off the year, and App Store accountability was my bill that was just kind of full steam ahead. And then you had people like Meta pushing it, which makes me say, let me take a look at this. Because Meta is, if Meta was a person, they'd be the one person that I trust the least. I'll say that. Anybody that's going to spend $300 million on lobbyists to go after state reps just because they don't support what they're going for, it makes me.
And $300 million seems like a lot, but not to Meta.
No, not at all. Especially considering marketing to 13 to 17-year-olds is $1 trillion a year industry. Now, Google did just announce that they are stopping the informing of 13-year-olds how to disable parental controls. Because we've complained about that before. Right. They would send an email out stating to a 13-year-old, this is the steps on how to protect your account, but it gives them the ability to disable parental controls. So Google just announced that, which is huge. But for them to take that on,
to admit it,
to not just to admit it. I mean, they admitted it. Whenever I was in Chicago with Google, I was sitting on a panel, and we were talking about all the good things that they're doing, trying to protect kids online, especially with the feeds that are showing. You're searching positive mental health, and then you're getting suicide ideation.
Yeah, right.
Right? So they were talking about all the ways that they're addressing that, but I did bring up the fact. I said, but don't get me wrong, they still allow 13-year-olds to disable parental controls.
Right.
And for that announcement to come is huge, because I think that regardless of what the law says, they're doing what's right.
Doing better. Not perfect, but doing better.
Well, I think, in my personal opinion, if you can do what's right, regardless of whether the law dictates that you do what's right, that's a plus. So
I agree.
Kudos to Google for at least doing that.
Yeah.
I would love for them to stop allowing anyone to disable parental controls under 18. But
hey, and I feel it is a technological maze sometimes trying to figure out the parental controls on my daughter's iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're old. Like, I had to show you how to invite people to your page.
I am a baby boomer. I know.
I look older, but he's older.
But it does seem to me that these tech folks like Apple or Meta or Google, they have found ways to at least speaking of delaying things, delaying how parents can actually truly just, I mean, why can't you have just one little button that is parental
You
controls?
can. You just got to read through 6 pages to figure out how to get to that one little
Yeah,
button.
you got to drill down. It's a maze. But
They're
anyway,
like, oh, we gave you the contract. We told you exactly. We're stealing all your data. We told you. You agreed to it, right?
yeah.
but-
So tell us about this bill that you told me about 2 weeks ago. And,
Yeah. So, and this was brought to me by ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom, because of my advocacy, wanting me to give my opinion on the bill. Whereas App Store accountability puts the liability on the App Store as opposed to the applications themselves.
Okay.
ADF is known for challenging Supreme Court rulings, and they will fight it till the end. So they have a bill that they feel will be good, and it is the Stop Harm from Addictive Social Media. So I'm calling it Shazam. Some people say Shazam. I just say Shazam. But
We're going to have fun with that, folks.
yeah. I mean, but it puts certain language in, such as reasonable means to estimate and verify age of social media users. So it's not requiring you to prove your ID, and it's eliminating these drop boxes. But if they have, say, facial recognition software, well, that's a reasonable method to say this person is of this age. It also, the parental consent side. Social media companies may not let a South Carolina resident, that is a minor, hold an account without express parental or guardian consent.
Okay.
So that allows the parents, that gives that parental rights aspect of it.
Yeah.
And it puts limits on the minor's account. So it will prohibit an adult from contacting a minor, which is what happened to my son,
Yeah.
through the DMs.
Right.
So
Okay. So if you're not connected,
if you're not already connected, like a family member, my mama could text my son through a DM, but some random adult that's in Lagos, Nigeria, could not.
okay.
They will not be able to connect.
So this
to
is
them.
putting reasonable safeguards in place with keeping in mind commerce and privacy and some of
Correct.
those other things.
And it would block the advertising to minor account
Okay.
holders.
What about the endless scrolling?
the endless scrolling? It will put a stop to it.
Okay.
So you will still be the teens will still be able to scroll, but they will have to hit next.
Yeah.
So that is a big
So
plus.
it takes an action of the user to go to a next video.
Correct.
Okay.
So you're not going to sleep.
Yeah.
Like we discussed before, if you go to sleep with the reels on,
Yeah.
all of a sudden your alarm doesn't work because the audio is connected there.
Well, and
Right.
folks, I always go back to these tech folks, these innovators, and the CEOs of these companies. Listen to what they say. And I think it was a year or so ago when Netflix talked about, the CEO came out and said that these other streaming services weren't his competition. Sleep was.
right.
And I'm like, holy shit. That guy just told you the truth. And were you listening? Probably not.
I thought they were just trying to increase baby
I
baby
mean,
making and
God
with the whole Netflix and chill.
So yeah, so what this law currently right now is in draft form, or have you? Oh
It's-
no.
I
you've
filed
already-
the bill.
You filed it.
So
Because
we're
I already signed on.
now
That's
the big thing is we want South Carolina to be first. We will be the first of 50 states.
right. Okay.
So we're trying to put a big push together, get a hearing quickly, get this bill moving.
Good
Now, whenever I said minors earlier, this was a disagreement I had, but through the conversation, I understand the point of it. Many Supreme Court cases have ruled whenever we're talking about adult minors online, there's different stages. So you got adults, you've got your teens.
What's
you've
an
got,
adult minor?
Well,
17,
no.
18?
Yes. So an adult would be 18.
Yeah.
But they also believe that just like we have PG-13 movies,
Mm-hmm.
a 15-year-old can look at something far different than a 12-year-old.
Yeah, I got you.
So the age on here will be 16.
Okay.
That is to withstand court challenges. So it's not,
Yeah,
in my
right.
mind, like I said about the Kids Online Safety Act, I always wanted that to be 18.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get this passed. We're trying to get it through and lead the way. So if there are court challenges, we have a great group such as ADF
yeah,
defending us.
And sort of wrapping that up, that is very important when you're writing legislation, folks, that I think we have learned, right? Because when we first got into politics, we're just like,
I mean,
"Hey,
you can write yourself a pay raise, but it might get overturned by the court if you don't do it properly.
I didn't vote for that. Anyway, but that is seriously, you've got to make sure that legally the language is tight,
Right.
right? To where there's not an unintended consequence that could then be argued in appeals court.
Correct.
So look forward
We
to
want to
getting,
set that precedent,
yeah.
right?
So I tell you what, it'd be great for the state to lead on something. And so again, thanks for bringing that up. I did talk to ADF myself this week. Sort of went through the bill with them. There's probably some tweaks that we can do to improve the bill, but I do think it's a good bill, and look forward to seeing
And
that.
I'm honored to have someone. I'll tell you, South Carolina, we are real lucky. While I might be an advocate, I'm not an attorney. And to have someone like Representative Travis Moore out of Spartanburg that is an attorney
Yeah.
that's also passionate about this. And Lord knows he
100%.
has tons of kids, so he wants to
Right.
protect all of them.
Yeah,
But he is the legal mind that can lead these bills through.
Yeah.
I'm the passion side, he's the legal side. And if you notice with any of my bills, Travis Moore's always on it. You're always on it.
Yeah.
Travis Moore's always on it.
yeah, and I experienced that as well on the DJJ ad hoc that we did late last year. It was nice to have Travis Moore because he is in family court. He's got experience there. Also, Representative Spitzer Wetmore, her being an attorney was helpful in that DJJ stuff. So yeah, very important. While
For those that didn't understand that, that was Spencer
Yeah.
Wetmore.
a lot of times we joke around about lawyer legislators, but we do
Need them.
appreciate them.
Whenever I first got elected to York County Council, and Joel Hamilton, who's a friend of ours,
Yeah.
was on county council with me, and I would always tell him the problem with politics are too many attorneys involved. In my first week there, we were talking about going into executive session, and as they're reading it, I'm just blown away trying to keep up with everything. And Joel just looks at me and he said, "Do you still think we don't need any attorneys?" I'm like, no, we need a few. We need a few.
So I think we should start calling this segment "Shots Fired."
Shots fired.
I mean, you rail on big tech, I'm railing on big health.
Look, it's
So do
it's just the passion.
Yeah.
You get in there, and sometimes you don't realize what is important until it's put before you.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and the problem is we get so passionate about it
Mhm.
that we speak over people's heads. So if y'all have any questions,
Yeah.
please submit them.
Yeah.
Let us answer these questions. Even some of these big tech people or the big insurance companies that are watching this. If you got questions, let us answer them to the best of our ability
Yeah.
on here.
And most of them have your cell and my cell. So
Yes. Yeah, we'll get those calls.
Yeah, so let's just do some rapid fire stuff that happened this week because we were busy. I mean, it seemed like the Blatt building and the Gressett building where the senators work, their offices are held, it seemed like it was a beehive this week
Yes.
because I had parental rights. Travis Moore in his sub had girl spaces. Folks, hats off to Subcommittee Chair Jay Jordan this week. I think he had 3 subcommittee hearings. He chairs con law in judiciary. They were dealing with the chemical abortion where
The mail order.
Yep, mail order where folks are ordering drugs from out of state, getting shipped in, taking the pill, and having an unlawful abortion after the heartbeat.
Yeah.
And again, while you have to be specific and careful with the language of the bill, I think the spirit of this one, you and I agree with,
Yes.
right? It reschedules these drugs to Schedule 4, I believe, to where they're more tightly regulated, which is vitally important.
I wonder how it will work just because this is something that we discussed during Heartbeat Bill
Yeah.
as well. And how do we regulate, because we can't control mail.
Yep.
It's the same problem we have with vapes and everything else.
Yeah.
On a state level, we can't control mail.
And there are situations that that this bill provides for where the doctor is trying to save a life in emergency situations. You know what I mean? It carves out some safe harbors for those types of things. Another issue that subcommittee was tackling was close primaries. We've talked about this at length. There was 2 bills that the subcommittee considered, heard over 2 hours of testimony.
You basically have the bill that was voted for by every Republican
Yeah,
county
yeah,
and said, this is what we want. And then you've seen a mass exodus of people coming off of the bill
yeah,
because there's huge support for Mike Burns' 3310 as well.
yeah. Well, and also what I learned in watching the video of that subcommittee was this isn't just a recent issue. This is an issue that the state party has been taking up since 2012. Did you know that? And so
did.
this is over a decade.
Ever since Rush Limbaugh told everyone to go
Yeah.
out and vote for Barack Obama.
This is over a decade-long issue. Here's the problem: is that there's not a consensus on a path forward, right?
Right.
And so because this is a intra-party issue, I am going to look to the party to help guide us as Republican legislators. And so they had to. I think they just ran out of time on that. So
Well, I mean, the two bills are fighting against each other. So
yeah.
does one move forward with both of them fighting against each other?
Or is there a hybrid bill that gets,
Is there a hybrid bill
Yeah.
that comes forward?
So-
I think our parties want us to vote for a closed primary.
Mhm.
However, the polls show that the citizens do not, depending on the language. So if you make the language
Well,
just
and
to say,
that's-
do you want to
that's-
stop Democrats from voting in Republican primaries? Then the answer is yes. Both these bills do that,
Yes.
regardless.
Yep.
But the problem became, well, if we're going to stop Democrats from voting in a Republican primary, why would we allow someone that was a Democrat to run?
Yeah.
And there has to be carve-outs for the certain individuals like military professionals that we've seen come over and
that have a justifiable reason for not being able
right,
to.
or people like our caucus member, Harriet. You know, she was a
right.
Democrat that saw the light, so to say,
Yeah.
became a Republican, and is now, I mean, she's a strong advocate within caucus.
Yeah.
But
and-
something like that, she's got to go to the party to ask for permission to run. And her argument was, well, I'm running against 2 other Republicans in my primary, so would they support me?
Yeah, and look, we have right here in York County, we have local party leaders that were formerly Democrats,
Right.
Right, and so, folks, you can change your mind. You can have an epiphany. You can see the light on the road to Damascus. That's great. Welcome, right? And so, and I think that's sort of where this argument boils down to: is what do you do with quote unquote independence?
And none of us
or the
want
unaffiliated, right?
none of us want the other party influencing our elections. Dems
Yeah.
don't want Republicans influencing their election. Republicans don't want Dems influencing their elections.
Correct.
My fear is that both of these bills, even though I'm still a co-sponsor on one, would give the parties more power. It's more Republican versus Democrat. And truth of the matter is 40% of our voters are independent, and we've got to have them with our current process. They get to choose. If they vote in
Yeah.
a Republican, then they're giving up their right to vote in a Democrat. Now, I do believe in order to run for a party, you must be registered with the party.
Yeah,
I would be perfectly fine with that.
100%. So again, that also brought a lot of folks to the office buildings to give their testimony. Another one was judicial reform. This again has been a hot topic. We have previously passed some judicial reform.
This is the first year we get to see how well it works.
Yep.
And we're already changing it.
And so, but again, that con law subcommittee that was chaired by Representative Jay Jordan heard 2 other bills. One of them stipulated a judicial election date. If you did not know, that date of the judicial elections it's not set. It's actually year to year, and it's set by a concurrent resolution that passes through the Senate and the House. This bill that that subcommittee heard sets the date, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like the second Wednesday after the first full week, or
Yeah, but then you have problems like we're dealing with this ice storm coming in.
Yeah.
Will we even be in session next week? We're in the middle of a state of emergency.
Yep.
So we've got to be careful on setting a specific date.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine for us to come in, Hey, I
look,
don't see
man.
the fight there.
Look, if you're going to be a state elected official, you got to be tough, and that may mean you got to drive through a snowstorm. to get there.
I'm good with the snowstorm, but like I said, ice is different. Doesn't matter how big your 350 is, you're not getting through on ice.
And so, lastly, the last issue I wanted to just highlight was on the judicial reform, where we are changing the membership of JMSC to where it'll be by governor appointment. That, again, was also heard in Representative Jordan's subcommittee. So they took that up and passed it on to full. So we'll keep you abreast of all of those important issues as they come out of the full Judiciary Committee in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and I think we already lowered a lot of the power the JMSC had with our judicial reform bill.
Yeah.
So I don't see that as a major difference.
And I thought Chairman Weston Newton also attended and gave some words for the subcommittee's consideration was separation of powers, right?
Yes.
When you're talking about electing judges, you don't need the legislative branch undue influencing that process. So I think that's what the initial judicial reform that we've passed in our freshman term, I think this is just the next step, right?
And I think Gil Gatch gave good testimony. I think he brought up, everyone always talks about lawyer legislators
Yeah.
being an issue, and I think he brought up it was less than 1.5%
Yes, correct.
that are actually lawyer legislators.
Yeah. He did bring some good stats. So, this false narrative of we have a corrupt judiciary,
No, it works well if you're running for position.
it probably isn't 100% accurate. But
Is there
again,
corruption? Yes. Is there within any system? Yes.
correct. But I think that common denominator is not so much the corruption, just the perception of.
Right.
And we want to stay above that. So again, this bill reflects that sentiment, right? Trying to stay above. We've always talked about this, whether it's being legislators, potential conflicts of interest leads to the greater degree of corruption. And so I think this is the next step in trying to just improve the process.
Same old game, just different because raise a glass for the ones.
All right, episode wrap up. Speaking of looking forward for next week, got a lot of things going on. Couple of highlights we do have on Wednesday. We have the Governor's Day of the State.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing Governor Henry McMaster and his folks in the building on Wednesday evening.
And we've got his requested budget, but we need to discuss that next week.
Yeah, that's right. So he's going to throw out some highlights, some special guests and things of that nature. And so we're going to piggyback sort of on what he highlights to then talk about next week. Another thing, as I mentioned earlier, Representative Travis Moore will be taking to the well to ask us to pass the Protecting Girls Spaces that has passed out of the full Judiciary Committee.
Expect some shenanigans.
Of course. But I'm confident that Travis Moore will do a good job. I think we can get that passed and over to the Senate next week.
I'm confident that you'll see all Republicans on one side.
100%. 100%. So also you've got these,
Yes.
man, I tell you what,
Every state of the state.
dollar bills, y'all.
Well, this started our freshman year.
Custom shoes.
I started wearing Gavin's shoes, which he would draw on, or he had them custom made that said things like Goop on them. And I would wear them just to kind of give me some confidence. And then every year, whenever I wanted some, I would put on a pair of red Vans or something that was just off color
Yeah.
to like really stand out. But this year, I decided, because they were a whole lot cheaper than just buying regular and trying to draw,
Yeah.
during Christmas, they had where you could do custom Vans. So I ordered 4 different ones,
Nice.
but every state of the state, I always wore the tennis shoes.
Okay.
So these are the ones that I will wear next week for the state of the state that have Gavin's gamer tag on it, which is like a kid in a dinosaur uniform.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me of the Pixar Monsters.
Yes.
You know, the girl in the...
Very similar to that.
Yeah.
It
It's
all
got that
come
look to
from
it.
he had a TikTok reel that went viral.
Okay.
And it was him sitting there, like eating popcorn, looking sad. And it's like me and my feels for no reason. And then it goes, this filter, though. And it just shows him cheesing. And it's like a dinosaur outfit. And he's just dancing around. And it went viral. So he always drew the dinosaur with everything that he did.
Good deal.
But yeah, these are my custom ones. And then I've got, I don't know if I can see these or not. solid black, less than 3.
Yep.
And they are for whenever I'm speaking to the teens.
Good
Because
deal.
I'm always spreading that message.
Good deal. So, yeah, another busy week. It's also good. Man, my daughter turned 17, bro.
Oh, wow.
So happy shout out.
You've
Happy
got a good
birthday.
one, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
you
she's
could
great.
have a wild kid and you don't. Like, you've done a good job. I mean, even the best of parents.
PSA.
They end up with people like me growing up as a teen.
Well, keep them off social media, folks. That's my PSA.
There was no, thank God there was no social media whenever I was growing up.
Yeah, so happy early birthday to Emma, man. She's turning 17 this Tuesday. So
Happy birthday.
And I
Emma.
tell you, folks, I enjoy it. While it's bittersweet to see your baby, your first, grow to that age to becoming a young adult, it's also, man, it's rewarding. It's great to see the person they're becoming. Like her and I, after dinner, her and I sat up and just talked for about an hour. And, they were,
Have the conversation.
yeah, it's good. She's maturing. She's becoming that young adult. And
I mean, you seen Cohen came in between one of our breaks, which
Yeah.
is my 19-year-old.
yeah,
Him and his girlfriend swung by, but the conversations are great.
still will not give me the eggnog recipe, buddy.
He holds it hostage.
Jerk.
That is for sure. But I've got my
Good kid.
birthday. I'm going on the dark side of the 40s come
Are ya?
Thursday as well.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. So your
So,
birthday's on Thursday.
46.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully we'll be iced out, snowed out, so I don't have to face the wrath of Gary Brewer
Yeah.
for your
oh,
banana eating comments
yeah,
on my
that's right.
birthday.
That's right. That's right. Hey, man.
Last time he just showed me with a mullet. Like, everybody knows that. I feel like the guy off of Joe Dirt. Like, yeah, man, everybody know that.
Yeah. Sort of looks similar. But hey, folks, seriously, this storm, stay off the roads. Eat some good homemade soup, grilled cheese.
Yes.
Enjoy family. Hopefully, stay with power. That's my only real concern.
York Electric Co-op and Duke have been in constant communication.
Yeah, 100%.
They are geared up. They've got trucks everywhere.
Yep.
I mean, you kind of do this for a living.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do some storm response. So all week, on top of the legislative work that I was doing, constantly on the phone, I felt like a switchboard operator. Whether it's Santee Cooper, Dominion, Southern Company over in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Duke as well. Always just calling all cars, right? They're saying, how many resources can you help us to support the system if something were to happen during the storm? So yeah, we have folks situated all across the state. So if something bad does happen and trees fall on lines, things of that nature, the utilities will have support to get that thing back online.
And hopefully I will be out with my chainsaw helping people if in need, which was one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, well,
Every
if
time
you
there's a
are
storm.
doing that, be safe.
Oh, yeah, I'll walk.
I remember in every emergency or big disaster, you always hear of these stories of folks who are operating a chainsaw or doing things maybe outside their limits of knowledge. Not to say that Guffey would do that. But folks, be
I did
careful.
used to sell these things.
if you use chainsaws, wear some gloves, wear the helmet with the face shield, wear some chaps.
Keep it to the side of you because then things will kick back at you.
That's right. Wear the PPE. Okay.
Yes.
Wear the PPE is all I'm saying. So,
Yep.
and if you're on the roads,
Drive safe.
Yeah,
correct. I would recommend not driving if it's ice.
100%.
It reminds me of the Key and Peele skit, the black ice.
Oh boy, I'm still crossing
If you
my
hadn't
fingers
seen it,
for some
look that one
snow.
up.
But yeah, ice is bad news. So anyway, folks, during this winter storm, stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you next week.
And hopefully y'all are tuning in to us. Continue to follow us on pintsandpolitics.show.
Yeah,
We need some comments. We're watching our audience rise, but leave us some comments, leave us some reviews on whichever platform that you watch.
yeah. Whether it's TikTok, Facebook,
YouTube, Apple, Spotify.
X, follow, subscribe, all of those good things. Give reviews. If you want to give a shitty review, just don't give us a review.
Nah, we'll take them too.
That always we get that enough.
Hey,
That always
me and Nancy
helps.
Mace love negative comments too, not just good ones.
So yeah, be safe out there. Thanks for listening and staying tuned, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Cold hard facts with a little bite.